The truth about Lily is finally out after an emotional funeral, and which ex is Phyllis gonna get with if things don't work out with Billy? Stay tuned for this week's Restless Wrap.
You're tuned in to AFTERBUZZ TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Goodman, back for another week of Restless Wrap. It's been, if you were here last week and tuned in, we had one heartfelt week where they really, they showed Hillary's final moments. They showed her passing in Devon's arms. And this week, it was a lot with the funeral. It was a lot with other side situations with Phyllis. It was a lot of just emotions crammed into one week, and it was hard to watch. Just like last week, this week for me was another one where I found myself tearing up a lot. And we're just gonna touch on all of it and kind of get into the funeral, kind of get into everything happening even after Hillary is gone. It's like there's more drama, kind of like what they did with the JT storyline after they had that emotional week. They kind of went and instantly had to create another storyline with more problems. So I will tell you my thoughts on that when we get there. For now, let's first touch on Tessa and Moriah, because I feel like there's a couple of smaller segments, not that much really happened with them. It was the first episode of the week. We had already seen that, going back a couple weeks now, the week before, we had seen that Tessa was leaving and that Moriah was supposed to go with her. And basically what happened was Tessa left and Moriah decided, I can't leave my family. So when we kind of got back to it this week, first it was Sharon and Nick discovering the train ticket, showing the one way with Moriah just basically going. So Sharon and Nick saw what she was going to do. They didn't know why, but Sharon decided she was going to go find Moriah and actually confront her about this. So we have that going on. Finally, Sharon gets there. Moriah has kind of taken over GC Buzz for Hillary at this point. We don't know what's going to happen with that, but at the beginning of the week, that's sort of what was happening. Moriah had this memorial GC Buzz episode that was dedicated to Hillary, another really sad, emotional moment. Where everyone, including Devon, was listening in on this and hearing Moriah discuss Hillary and discuss the tragedy of her death and, losing the child. At the end of this, we end up having Sharon comes back and ends up confronting Moriah about leaving. And Moriah says, no, it's not happening. I couldn't choose my family. You have nothing to worry about. Finally tells her mom what's going on with Tessa. Can't tell her why, but is able to tell Sharon, Tessa's not coming back. But then Tessa actually does come back. And it was literally as Tessa comes back into the room, Tessa and Mariah's kind of confused at this point. She's like, what's going on? I don't understand this. Why are you back so soon? As they're having this conversation, so Tessa basically says, I thought it had to be either my sister or my Moriah, but I'm choosing to have both my sister and my Moriah. And basically it was just a really short, sweet scene with the two of them, with Tessa really saying, I'm here, I can't be here for a while, I have to go be with my sister, but I'm coming back for you, Moriah. Don't worry, this isn't the end of us. As they are finishing this conversation, it was just the way that they capped off the scene. They had a picture of Hillary. They kind of zoomed in. They had Moriah and Tessa, and in the back you could see the TV monitor with a picture of Hillary. Almost like what they were trying to suggest is that it's almost like this, they had a lot of mention of Hillary being able to do things from, beyond the grave. And it was almost like their way of saying Hillary, kind of maybe sort of, influenced Tessa's return, without even having to be here. So, let's check in with the chat and see what's going on here. We have Simone Francois, Tiffany, Taylor Jones, Maxwell Comics, Hubby Joe. Thank you guys for joining this week. We're going to take call-ins, but before we do, I just wanted to let you guys know about something. If you are a fan, which you obviously are, of soaps and The Young and the Restless, our network producers, we have other TV shows as well, from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more. There's no network that works harder to serve television fans, but we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they are definitely optional. So if you can go ahead and hit subscribe now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well, let us know how you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. I will definitely say your name, so let us know. Comment on this video, comment somewhere in the AfterBuzz universe, and let them know that you're a fan of Restless Rap and that you subscribed to an AfterBuzz channel, and I will give a shout out to you live on the air. So for now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk. Continuing on with Restless Rap, for anyone who wants to call in and you're listening live, that is August 5th at 5:23 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The number for you to call is 424-253-0749. Again, if you are listening live right now and you want to call in and be on the show, the number for you to dial is 424-253-0749. So we have a couple of comments in the chat before I move on to the next segment here. Clex Anvers, aka Tiffany, says the Moriah Hour will rise. Maxwell Comics, I loved Hillary's letter and funeral. We are definitely going to get to that. Let's save Hillary's funeral for the end because there's a lot to cover with so many different pieces happening. Taylor Jones, Moriah is such a great character. Maxwell Comics, ugh, Tessa won't even call Moriah her girlfriend. Maxwell Comics, my Moriah, ugh, that makes me sick. Tessa won't commit, but she wants Moriah to wait. When Tessa comes back, I'll be really curious what happens and where the relationship goes from there. I think it's too soon to tell what it's going to be like for them because Tessa's not in the picture right now. Not really. Thanks for calling Restless Rap. Who's on the line?
Hey, Rachel, it's Tiffany.
Hey, Tiffany. So I just got done talking about Tessa and Moriah. If you wanted to add anything to that, I know they're your favorite.
Yeah, yep, they're my babies.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, that whole episode, honestly, was my favorite of the week. I just think everything about it was just really beautiful. Like, the beginning, I think it was really nice how they did it with, like, just the instrumental playing over it and Devon having to call everyone who was close to Hillary and give them the news. And there was no sound to it, but you could just tell, like, the effect that it had on everybody and, like, how everybody reacted a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, like, a really, really beautiful scene. Then on top of that, like, you know, I'm all for, like, the Moriah Hour. So seeing Moriah doing GC Buzz and her tribute to Hillary, that was really, really, really beautiful as well.
Yeah, and I think what makes it... Oh, I'm sorry.
What was it?
I think what makes it especially strong is that all these characters had very conflicted relationships with Hillary, even Devon to a certain point. And so just to see how they reacted after her passing and hearing the news was especially strong because all of these characters were so different, and it's really a testament to their acting.
Exactly, yeah. It's also, like, getting off track of Monday's episode, like, you know, I mean, it is no secret that I was never Hillary's biggest fan from the time that I've seen her. And even going back and listening to her in the past, I said I like her. But I mean, you had to know that she was doing something right as a character, like as Hillary, because, I mean, even on Wednesday when they had, like, the after funeral, like the celebration of life, even people that she worked with who we never saw her interacting with, you know, felt obligated to come and to pay their respects to Hillary. And I don't really know of a whole lot of people that would do that for their boss, you know?
Yeah, especially...
So Hillary had to do something right.
Yeah, there had to have been. So my thing was, originally I didn't like her at all. I wanted her to leave the show. And then as right around Christmas, when they showed that letter coming in, and it turned out it was her, and they had found a letter of her basically writing to help her mother. And I just started seeing a different side to Hillary, and I started to slowly kind of like her more until we got to this very this very tragic ending. And it's just interesting too to see how people react, even when it's a character who was driving people crazy, even a character who, like Lily, for example, who was a big part of this week. Just the way that Lily's reacting now, and how it's, Lily did all these things. I mean, Hillary did all these things, let's be fair, but they both did all these things to each other that obviously you never thought they would ever get along or like each other or go to each other's funerals ever. And here's Lily, and you can tell that she genuinely is really hurt by what's happened. Do you think, I know this is getting into the funeral, do you think it's fair how Devon's reacting, not just to Lily, but to people in general?
I don't know if it's like a thing, so to speak, if it's fair or not. I think it's just naturally when it happens, whenever you go through something like this, your natural reaction is to automatically shut people out and throw yourself in other things to distract yourself.
Yeah.
My thing is, I'm kind of wondering, I know it kind of started off with we didn't know for sure if it was Lily or not, and then it was yes, it's definitely Lily. She definitely ran this red light and she caused the accident, but I'm kind of wondering if, because right now Devon's giving her the ultimatum of go to jail or I'm never going to forgive you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's not Lily's fault. Maybe there's a slim chance that maybe, just maybe, because I genuinely don't think Lily knows what happened for sure, and I genuinely don't think that she purposefully caused this accident. I genuinely think that she has a concussion and can't remember for sure what happened. But I'm kind of wondering if maybe in the heat of the moment, maybe Shauna didn't really see it clearly, or maybe Charlie didn't really see clearly, and maybe it's not Lily's fault.
Yeah.
And she might go to jail and have this trial and everything that's, inevitably going to happen.
What I think
to, in the end, be innocent.
And I think that's definitely fair to say too, but I think what's going to end up happening is that so I think that Lily definitely did it not on purpose, but I think she definitely ran the red light. I think it's just going to come down to, okay, now they're going to be in court. Charlie's going to be on Lily's side, and Shauna's going to be on Devon's side, and it's going to be this ugly mess between family, and then maybe somehow, end even more messily, and they're just Devon and Lily are gonna have this really crazy, horrible split for a while. But it's just, it's interesting too how they showed Kane in all of this, because on the one hand it was okay, I don't blame Kane for what he was doing, but then again it's just something, when Kane gets like this, it starts to rub me the wrong way too, because we saw how he was during the whole Juliet situation, and how he was lying, how he was taking money and just not being honest with Lily. And so I just start to get, this is Kane again. But yeah, just such a mess. But thank you for...
I can kind of see Kane on the same plane as Devon in that sense with what's happening right now. Because Devon a few days ago, 2 weeks ago or so, he didn't want to tell Hillary the truth about how she was dying, and, his argument was that it was for the best, it was to protect her, and, all this stuff. And then you turn around and Kane's doing the same thing with Lily. And it's I get that you're trying to protect them, but you're not really helping them at all in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
In Devon's mind, having just lost his wife, just lost his child, all of this is happening. In his mind, he's going to see only Lily.
Yeah.
As the culprit, as the problem here, when truthfully, Lily was driving, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. And
Kane is the one that kept it from her. Kane is the one that kept her from being able to do anything, to tell the truth. And then on top of that, he turned around and told Charlie not to say anything, and then told Shauna not to say anything. And I don't know, I kind of just want to choke him.
Yeah. Well, thank you for calling in. And we'll definitely we'll have to see what happens with this whole storyline.
Yeah, of course. And, I'm holding out hope to see more of Moriah and Tessa soon.
Of course,
God
yeah.
knows what's happening with Tessa now, but,
Yeah. Hopefully she comes back soon and we see her next week.
Yeah, I will say, though, I have to say one of my LOL moments of the week was whenever they were on the phone at the very end of Friday. And Moriah had to call her back. And she's like, please tell me that was just like a little brat kid and their parents or something because I'm really worried. And I'm like, oh, I hope so. I can't take this anymore.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Crazy. Well, thank you. And we will talk soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I know we kind of got into the funeral territory. So let's just keep talking on that. Let me see if I have any comments in the chat here. Hubby Joe, they handled the writing really good this week. It was a nice tribute to Hillary. Taylor Jones, I cried so hard. It makes me so sad because I've always loved the relationship Devon and Hillary have had. I agree with that and their relationship. So as I was telling Tiffany, I didn't like Hillary, but then after Christmas, it started to change for me and I really started to appreciate her character. And at the funeral, they did make a really good, a really valid point. Yeah, she had a way of rubbing people the wrong way, but she was very honest and direct. So at least Phyllis gave her that at the end by telling her the truth. Okay, so let's see if we have any other comments here. Thanks for calling Restless Rap. This is Rachel. How can I help you?
This is one of your favorite callers, Max.
Hey, Max. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better than I was last week.
So we were talking about Hillary's funeral and everything that happened with Devon. Okay. Tiffany and I were kind of talking.
I have a very defined feeling on this entire situation.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go ahead. But it was like, I feel bad for Lily, but I don't at the same time. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much of an accident it was, she was still the one driving the car.
Oh, Max, I'm sorry. Can you move a little closer to your phone? We're having a little hard time.
Yeah, I said no matter how bad she feels, she was still the one driving the car.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to say this too. That brings up a really good point. She was driving the car, and she, in all fairness, she could just not have realized she ran the red light because she wasn't looking. So she doesn't know what happened.
Most likely what happened.
Yeah. It's not even a matter of her not remembering because of a concussion. It's just she was arguing with Hillary. She wasn't, yeah, she's right. She shouldn't have been driving, but she admitted that.
And it's like, but that's always how it goes in these situations. And it's been really eye-opening because, I don't know if you remember, but last week I think I told you the same thing happened in, my community. Two of my classmates died in an accident, drug driving accident.
Oh.
And it's always the same thing. It's like, when you're driving and you're distracted or you're impaired, it's so easy to lose sight, lose focus. You didn't see the red light, but that person is still gone. And Lily cannot honestly expect Devon to look at her cry and just be all is forgiven.
Yeah.
No matter what Lily says, I believe it was an accident. They were arguing, she didn't see it, but at the end of the day, they're dead. They're not going to come back, and it's going to take a second. So I think Neil was right when he was like, "Don't come to work today.
Yeah.
Go to the mall. Go to the spa. Just don't be here."
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is that's where I think that there were some valid points all around with should they have withheld the information? Should they have told him? In one sense, okay, Devon, he's obviously in a place where he's very angry and hurt. He's going through all the emotions, all the grieving. He's not, you even saw the way that he was talking to Nate. He blamed Nate.
Yeah.
And Nate most definitely.
And that was totally irrational.
Yeah, but that's just a testament to what Devon's going through. And I understand that, he's not going to be in a rational state of mind right now because he just lost the love of his life and his child. But that begs the question, do you think that they should have withheld that information from him, that Lily ran the red light, or do you think they should have told him right now?
I think they should have told him immediately, because
Yeah.
the lie is what makes it look worse.
Yeah.
That's the pattern. That's the pattern in the rest is they do this terrible thing and they hide it, and that's what makes it worse. If Kane and Lily would have been like, oh, immediately, oh, I'm so sorry, like, Devon still would have been mad, but he wouldn't have been as mad, because now it looks like Lily and Kane were just lying and trying to cover it up, and they like were pulling something over on them, like Devon said, you were at our wedding, you were smiling, but you were just happy because you got rid of Hillary. But it just looks like that now because of the lie.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what makes it worse is that Lily and Kane were so terrible toward the end. Near the end, I was actually irritated with Lily and Kane. I was all for Hillary, and it was like a full 180 swing for me, or
Yeah.
So by the end, I was like, what are Lily and Kane doing, locking her in an office so that she can't go and get the artificial insemination? How crazy are they to do this?
It looks bad.
Yeah.
The whole thing looks bad. And what I will say about Hillary, like the kind of thing I'll say about Hillary, they did an excellent job with her progression. 5 years ago when she came on, she was a completely different person. I don't know if you were watching it 5 years ago, but when Hillary first came on the scene, like she was Kane's assistant, and she was trying to destroy Kane's life because Lily and Devon's father used to be a drug addict, and Hillary's mom and Neil used to do drugs, and Hillary's mom died because Neil just left her to do drugs.
Wow. So
she was trying to get revenge on that. So she went from that crazy, spiteful character to this person that was still really crazy, but touched everyone's hearts. And at the end of her funeral, everyone was saying all these great things about her, how she was tough but fair and kind and blah blah blah. They did a really good job with her story progression over 5 years.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in, Max. We actually have to wrap up the call right now, but thanks for calling in. I appreciate your input, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, so let's touch base with the chat a little bit here, and then we'll move on. We have a couple other things to touch on with the funeral, and then we'll move on to a different segment. Hubby Joe says, Kane was protecting the family. Devon is not thinking right due to losing his baby and wife. Devon is trying to find someone to blame. And so that's the thing, is that I understand where Devon's coming from. I don't agree with what he's doing, but he's going through so much. Everything, the trauma that he has just been through. I think Max had a really good point. They should have just told him instantly. And the other thing that I wanted to get to earlier as well is just to mention that kind of like what they did with JT and Victoria, how they went through this whole emotional situation where it was an abusive relationship. They went from that to making it a murder mystery, and then not a murder mystery, but like a murder, oh, are they going to find out we killed JT? This wasn't everything that happened with Hillary, and now what's happening with Lily and Devon is not as bad as what I think what they did with JT and rushing it into, oh, we need to cover this up. But I don't like how they rush it from one emotional beat, and now it's all about Lily and Devon and how they're having this fight. I think what would have worked better in this particular situation is, instead of rushing and making this plot point come out of here where it's like, oh, Lily, how could she do this? How could she kill my wife? I would have preferred to see Devon healing, well, not necessarily healing, because, obviously in a soap, they want to keep having these moments, but where there's trauma and conflict. But I feel like they could have had that later. They needed to have, kind of when, for example, when they have couples getting together, when we've seen Phyllis and Billy get back together, and they have those scenes where they're, sleeping together or just having romantic moments. When Kane and Lily got back together and we had those down moments. I feel like in this situation with Devon, we needed those down moments just to see him, even if it was just by himself, even if it was just him reminiscing about Hillary, even if it was just him going for a walk in the park. We needed to have that down moment. This just feels like it's going from that traumatic emotional beat to boom, 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 boom. We have to make trouble for these people. And it doesn't, I get it's a soap. I get this is something that's soapy and is going to happen. But personally, I think that it would have been better service to the character and to the situation and to honoring Hillary's life on the show if they had just taken it step by step, had the funeral, had all the hints that, okay, maybe Kane's like hush hush about, hey, Shauna, Charlie, we can't tell Devon this. Fine, have all of that, because that could probably have come up later. But for this week, I feel like we needed to just have Devon grieving and feeling and trying to make sense of what it was that happened to him and just seeing how he's reacting to this. It just felt not contrived per se, because we had seen all along what was happening, but it just didn't feel like the right moment for all of this to surface. And on the one end, it kind of stinks that Kane put Shauna in that position where she had to lie, and then suddenly, as they're talking about, we'll get to this in a second, but the letter that Phyllis was reading from Hillary and how Hillary was always honest, and suddenly Shauna is inspired to be honest and tell the truth. It, first of all, to me, it ruined a moment when we were trying to feel the grief of these characters. And I get Shauna had to say this in the moment because that was grieving for her because of the position she was in. But it just felt a little bit too dramatic for this moment. And that's, I know it's a soap, it's supposed to be dramatic, but I feel like it could have waited maybe next week or maybe a couple, maybe after the funeral, just something. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my take on this here, but that's what I think they should have done with the writing. Clicks Ambers, hating on Lily and blaming Lily won't bring Hillary back. I can understand people being upset, I get that, but no amount of blame will change anything, and that's true. And a rational person not grieving would totally understand that, but I think Devon's not in a position to think logically or clearly right now. Okay, so let's just touch base a little bit more with the funeral, then we'll move on. There's a couple other things to mention before we wrap up and get to our law moment and predictions. So, first of all, I just want to comment on the actual funeral. No one was wearing hats. Hillary said specifically she wanted everyone to wear hats and look like royalty, and not one person was wearing a hat. So, just thought I would say that. So, Phyllis, as I was mentioning earlier, she gets up and she reads a letter from Hillary that apparently Hillary had kind of dictated to her right before she passed. And Hillary had all these wonderful things to say to people. It was humorous. She had things for Moriah. She had something to say for Devon, of course, Shauna, everyone. It was a very nice way to hear a character say goodbye, even when they weren't actually there. And it was a very nice surprise, and I love that that's how they handled it. So, another thing I want to comment on during the funeral, Sharon goes over to Phyllis and starts bringing JT up. Like, oh, shouldn't we feel bad about him? Sharon, why would you bring this up at the funeral? Why? Why right now? I mean, I get why in the sense that she's feeling guilty about JT, and I get why they did it from a writer's standpoint, because obviously at the end of this week, we are back to JT. The storyline is not dead. It's coming back. So they wanted to hint at it. So I get that, but it just felt like just from watching this, I was like, oh my God, Sharon, like, don't talk about JT right now. This is Hillary's funeral. Not let's put the JT stuff to the side for now. Okay. Then we get to everything with Shauna and lashing out at Lily and finally telling the truth. Devon basically tells Lily they're no longer family, and in one of the most hurtful things I think I've ever heard on the show, Devon said to Lily, like, they were having a private conversation, and Devon basically told, like, Lily said, well, it could have been me who died, and Devon's response was, frankly, that would have been more justified. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, the fact that he would say that is terrible because he has a niece and a nephew who would be without a mother if Lily passed away. So that's terrible to say. I understand he's going through a lot, but I was like, holy crap, did he really just say that? That and the fact that he's now trying to basically get Lily in trouble for this. He's like, yeah, if you don't go and turn yourself in and tell the truth, I'm going to go. Shauna will back me up and we're going to go take care of this. He's not thinking about Charlie or Maddie, and I get it. It's, everything was taken from him. As he put it, his family is gone now. But it's just, he's not in a place to think rationally, but he's definitely not thinking about Charlie or Maddie and how this is going to hurt them. So we have a couple of comments in the chat. Hubby Joe, why would Lily try to harm Hillary in her car that she and her son were in? And Lily actually says this near the end, too. Simone, I loved when she was Hillary the diva because she was unapologetic about who she was, and I loved her for it. Clicks Anvers, locking someone in an office room so they can't get pregnant and purposely driving through a red light just in time to kill her with a truck are on two entirely different ends of the spectrum. Yeah, and here's the thing. So Lily and Kane obviously did a lot of really stupid things to her when she was alive, like locking her in an office. Was locking her in an office going to risk her life? No. There's nothing about Lily got into a car accident. She didn't purposely try to kill anyone. She wouldn't have done it, especially with Charlie in the car, but it was just a really tense situation. I do want to say this though before we move on to the law moment. So Charlie and Shauna end up breaking up over this whole situation. What Charlie and Shauna end up saying, well, what Shauna ends up saying to Charlie is that basically they didn't even have sex. That it was just, and Charlie didn't even, when they thought they were doing something, they hadn't even gotten that far. So the whole thing was, I mean, I get it's over the same idea that Charlie and Shauna are alone together, but they didn't even do what Lily and Hillary thought they were doing. So, okay, real fast, and then the law moment. Just want to touch on Phyllis. So which ex is she going to get back with? Because she's been spending a lot of time with Jack and kind of sort of Nick. Kind of. Not more so Jack than Nick. And then we saw at the very end, she got back with Billy, which is not what I was expecting. And when he was in that office and she was worried that he was gambling, I wasn't expecting it to be an actual meeting. I was thinking it really was going to be gambling, or like Hubby Joe suggested, well, maybe it's not gambling, but maybe it's like Gamblers Anonymous because he's trying to get help, but it looks like he's doing something wrong. It was really shady how Billy was acting. Let's just say that. I was almost thinking, well, even if it's not that he's gambling, well, okay, even if it looks like a meeting, I was almost thinking, what if it's actually a gambling session, but that's why the door was locked, so that he could be like, okay, people, let's clear this place. So that when he opened the door to, finally show Phyllis after she didn't believe him, it just looked like a meeting. But as soon as she left, they got all their stuff back together and it was a poker game. Who knows? We'll find out, maybe. So there's that. And then the JT storyline, Paul's back in the picture, trying to question them. So let's go ahead and get to our law moment. So I had two. This is when Jack, this is Crimson Lights. Phyllis is there. She's talking to Nick and Billy. And then Jack shows up. And he's like, I didn't realize this was a meeting of Phyllis's exes. That was hilarious. The other one I had was, okay, so the funeral scene. It was supposed to be this somber moment. And this is probably just me. I don't know if anyone out here watches SNL. If anyone out here watches The Californians. The funeral scene with Charlie and Kane and Shauna. Well, okay, Shauna stepped up and she's like, no, this is the truth. Lily ran the red light. And then I think Charlie was like, no, don't blame her, blame me. And then Kane got up and he was like, no, don't blame Charlie, blame me. It just kind of made me laugh because even though it was supposed to be serious, it reminded me of The Californians, how every time a character, there's all this conflict and a character just jumps up and says, no, but this. So I was actually laughing, and I probably shouldn't have been. Otherwise, I did not laugh during that funeral scene. But that moment when all of that drama started, I started laughing because it just seemed kind of, it didn't work for me, I'll be honest. But the rest of the funeral did, but not that moment after Shauna. So, Hubby Joe, no, it was me. Yeah, so let's end with our predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so predictions. I think, okay, this is kind of cheating because we saw Summer and Billy kissing. I think that that relationship's going to end between Billy and Phyllis. That's my prediction number one. Phyllis, I have this kind of, I don't know. I think that she's going to either hook up with Nick again, and that next time she does it, Kyle's going to find out and actually know not just that it's a guy, but that it's who it is. I think he's going to find out because they kind of keep hinting at that. Also, I think that the JT thing, I hope, this isn't so much a prediction as what I hope is going to happen. I hope JT's actually alive. That would be the best justice. I don't want it to just be Nick parading around in some cosmetic, fake mask. I want it to actually be that JT is alive and JT starts, like, I don't know, not stalking them, but just showing up. At least give this storyline some justice. It's been happening for too long. Do something with it so that we don't have to hear Sharon say, oh, I feel guilty about JT. No, let's end this for once and for all. Get him back into the picture and let's figure this out so that we can actually do something instead of just kind of hinting at it, so that we don't have to see Nikki and Phyllis and Sharon and Victoria sitting around pretending to work for charity. I think that we kind of just need to move past this storyline already. Okay, we have a couple other comments. Maxwell, Hillary had some gossip and tea at her own damn funeral. Yes, she did. I guess in that sense, the whole thing that happened with Shauna makes perfect sense. Maxwell, she would have been proud and eaten up the drama, lol. She loved to spill tea. That so in that sense, the drama was very fitting for that funeral, but I still think they should have been wearing hats. So, on that note, my name is Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rach Goodman. Also, if you haven't done so already, you should definitely go over to our Facebook Restless Rap page at Restless Rap. Just to let you know, too, Hallelujah by Jeff Buckley is the song in honor of Hillary. I'm sure we won't, have anything else to say next week about the funeral. Well, okay, that's not true. We probably will. But in any case, we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.